YouTube channel. You can actually see Kev and I. Kev is dressed like we're in Alaska right now. I'm in shorts. I put a little thermal long sleeve shirt on underneath my T-shirt, but you've seen me battle the elements.
We like to talk about cultural differences on the show, and this is just one of them. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't get a fine or anybody calling into the station, but these are cultural things about the weather. I and my people are tropical people. You know what I'm saying? This is cold weather to me. But I left the house this morning. I had like a little bomber jacket on, and then I got in the car. I was like, "Nah, bro, we're on the patio." So I went and got the big coat, hat.
Cigars? You like cigars? Yeah. But again, we are off and rolling here on a Sunday, and I throw a wrench in your cultural conversation because I'm only half of the one culture that's different, but I'm half Hispanic, half white. So that, good Sunday morning, everyone. Well, it is what it is. Kev tried to.
The ratings are going to be awesome.
I'm like, hey, I'm only half white, Kev, and half Hispanic. I don't even know what that means, but there you go. All right, lots to get into. College football Saturday was wild yesterday. This season, Kev, honestly, this might be my favorite college football season. Now, again, there's a lot of chaos left to unfold.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like for the first time this season for the college football playoff with the 14 playoff format, I feel like this is the first time where a team's going to miss the playoff that deserves to be in. I truly don't believe that a team that has deserved to make it has been screwed over to the point to where fan bases felt like they were ousted of a championship. This could be that year. Whoever the number 5 team in the country is on that final college football playoff poll that comes out, I don't think the gap between 1 and 5 is going to be so significant that you could say, well, you missed the playoff, but you weren't going to win the title anyways. I think this title is anyone's in the 1 through 10, at least as of right now where we sit here in early October. But yesterday, teams are starting to get in a groove.
Yeah.
Some teams are just being exposed for, some early season lack of testing in their non-conference. We'll talk Ohio State, but just overall your vibe of the college football playoff layouts right now, because I think this is as wild of a season as we're going to get with this 14 playoff. And coincidentally enough, it's the final one. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so people that listen to the show Monday through Friday know that I'm a college football maniac. I don't simply watch Ohio State or Ohio State's opponents. I watch any and every college football game that I can get my hands on. And I love it because of the rivalries. I love the fact that a team that isn't ranked, but they're playing their rival at home at night can jump up and bite somebody, and you get pandemonium, and that always happens in college football. We can look at a team like USC last night. I get back from an event, and they're tied with Arizona late in third quarter. So I stay up and watch that 3 overtime victory from USC. Now, on one coast, they could talk about how, oh, man, USC persevered. And then on another coast, people can be like, oh, man, you guys were in the battle at Arizona in the overtime. You're going to drop in the rankings. Me, I'm just watching.
Coastal differences.
Absolutely. And I just watch it as a football game. Like, oh man, this is great for the game. So I know before I was on vacation last week, we had this conversation. I'm not sure if we had it on the air or not, but like, are we ready for parity in college football? Because we love parity in the NFL. Not sure if we love parity in college football. I'm positive people don't like parity in the NBA, but they love to have the stars. They love to have those brand names in there. I'm not sure we're ready for people to truly embrace parity in college football, but I think it's on its way. And I think it's based off of the transfer portal more than NIL. I think that this is causing something that fan bases can really get behind. And I think it's really wide open to your point, like everybody in the top 10. I don't think anybody is separating themselves from saying like, all right, man, this team right here, everybody can agree like, all right, this is the best team in the country, hands down. Don't even talk to me about it. Don't even look at me. Don't even ask me. Like last year, I think everybody, kind of conceded that Georgia was the best team, but like, hey man, we can give them a run for our money on our best day. If we play our best game, we can have a chance to beat them. Ultimately, that team that gave them a run for their money was Ohio State. We lost that game. They went on to blast TCU in the national championship game. But, looking at the rankings right now, you mean to tell me that, you don't think Florida State could win it all? You mean to tell me Washington couldn't win it all? You mean to tell me Oregon couldn't win it all? You mean to tell me you don't think Ohio State could win it all? I mean, shoot, Texas lost yesterday, but you tell me you don't think Texas could, quote unquote, win it all? Oklahoma could win it all? This thing is wide open right now, and it's only going to get crazier. And that's the great part about college football. Eventually, teams that have 1 loss are going to have 2 losses. Teams that have no losses are going to have a loss. So then that's when the chaos starts.
Yogi, by the way, on Facebook, he comments on the page. He says, LOL, Kev out here with 3 times the amount of clothes on as Justin, with a bunch of laughing emojis after. Yes.
Gloves, too.
Folks, we did like back in what? March 31st. It was opening day.
Yeah.
We did a special Kenner and Kev show from opening day at Great American Ballpark. And, when they ask you to come to Great American Ballpark to do your show, you say yes. You don't think about anything else. And then until we're on our way there, and I'm like, it's 30 degrees, Kev. Like, I know by first pitch it was going to be like, in the 50s, kind of like this today. But we did the show outside at GABP, and it was in the 30s. And I think I showed up with a light hoodie. It wasn't even a jacket, but Kev was dressed like this. He's dressed like this in the 30s or not. But yeah, so.
Hey, man, I feel like, all right, if I get a little too warm. Yes, that's a
space heater, by the way. That is a space heater.
If I get a little too warm for the space heater, I could simply take off my jacket. I have a hoodie on still. But if I still get cold, I can just zip up, pull up hoodie 1 or pull up hoodie number 2. So I'm prepared. I'm prepared for any type of weather. If my fingers get cold, I can break out the tip of the mittens. I'm good. I'm prepared. I'm like a Boy Scout.
So the last time we did the show here together, it was like 100-something degrees. See, I'd rather be cold. Like right now, you're right. Like, so I'd rather be cold because if I get too cold, I can go get my jacket from my car and warm up. When it's hot like that day, there's nothing you can do to cool down. You can put a fan on you, but I think that space heater is doing more for you to warm you up than a fan would on 100
Oh,
degrees.
yeah, just blowing around,
take this cold.
Blowing around hot air. That time we were out here, it was always a great time in Frigger. Shouts out to everybody who came out to that day. But, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, where they all today?
Melting.
It's too cold. That's what it is.
Exactly. But I want to say it was maybe it was that Thursday, too, because I think it was the Thursday before we had Yappy Hour.
Oh, it was a Friday because I had to get to high school football.
Okay, you're right. I
had to get to North.
A couple weeks ago, before that, we had our Yappy Hour event, and it was basically the same. It was like 90-plus degrees, and it was just melting outside. So, yeah.
I did the TBT that day.
I
got out of the Yappy Hour thing twice because of high school or something. There was something going on. I got out of it twice.
Team player.
I do pay attention to the calendar. Ron Howard said he wants to know if you're going to the North Pole. Classic Ron. He just always with the
Santa.
one. Yeah, it's like ho ho ho. But nonetheless, by the way, live out here at Frickers in Miamisburg. Mama Carell, Kathy, I hope you're doing well. She says, Justin, you the man. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy's probably warm right now. She's inside, probably being smart. Well, I forced Kev. By the way, this is my decision to be. I forced Kev out here, to be honest. But nonetheless, all right. So let's get into the college football conversation. So Yogi's going to transition us there. Yogi says, "Thank goodness we didn't have to fire Ryan Day this morning. Hooday, time to win in Arizona." Yes, the purpose of this Sunday morning tailgate show: recap college football Saturday, dive into the big slate of NFL games,
talk about cultural differences,
hot, cold. By the way, that one last thing on the tab. Hold up the cup on the right. That is, he ordered a cup of hot water. He told the waitress, just bring him a cup of hot water. All right, let's get into it. Let's college football. Obviously, we're recapping some of the stuff from yesterday. Ohio State fans, it's been a while since they've been mad at me. I made sure to wear my Buckeyes. I got my Buckeye hat. I got my Buckeye shirt. I am a big Buckeye fan. Look at my office. I'm a huge Ohio State fan. One thing that I have stuck to throughout my entire life of being a fan is I try, and Browns, Bengals fans are like, oh, okay, Browns fan. We'll see. I try not to be a homer. In fact, I've had big Buckeye blogger sites who wanted to end me because I wouldn't say only positive things about the Buckeyes when they didn't play well. And I just can't, I'm very realistic, but I hold Ohio State to a standard that I hold all the other top teams in the country to. And what's interesting right now, Kev, so they did pull away late. Their offense outscored Maryland 21-17 yesterday. If you strip away the pick six, if you strip away the 9 points, from special teams and stuff, which, by the way, complete team effort, not going to knock that. Mm-hmm. But we all know a lot more times than not, it's going to come down to your offense having to carry you in some of those big games. And I mean big games, not against an unranked opponent, a respectable non-ranked opponent in Maryland, of course, better than the typical Maryland teams you run into. But Buckeye fans mad at me, Kevin. I'll explain why. Yesterday I said, I don't care how this game ends, Ohio State does not look like a top 10 football team for a couple of reasons. For one, based on the quality of teams that are in the top 10, and based on the fact that their deficiencies, and even though every other team in the top 10 has deficiencies, they have deficiencies within the most important part of the game, and that's offense. In today's college football, you have to be able to score. You have to be able to win in shootouts. You have to be able to win in multiple various ways. Ohio State can't win in a shootout. Their offense is as flat as the Cincinnati Bengals. At least the Bengals have an excuse in their quarterback's injury. Maybe Kyle McCord, that little rhythm he got in late, maybe all of a sudden that was a switch that flipped. But until I see that consistently game in and game out, I there's a whole list of 10 teams I would take over Ohio State right now if I had to put money on to win the championship. I'm always going to take teams that can run the football and have an elite quarterback. And this is one hell of a year for quarterbacks in college football. And Ohio State doesn't stack up with those. The defense is improved from years past. The defense is good. I don't know if it's elite or great yet, but they did their thing yesterday. I thought that if they had a chance to lose to Maryland, it was going to be because they diced up the defense. I didn't think it was going to be because they struggled to put the ball in the end zone. I know they ended up winning by 20. They covered all that fun stuff. But, Kev, am I overreacting in typical Kinner fashion? I am still not satisfied with Ohio State's, even though they're undefeated and they pulled away late, it's still Maryland. Am I overreacting at this point? What say you about the Buckeyes?
A little bit. It's fair to criticize.
You guys don't want to hang out outside? No, go inside. Go inside.
Remember, I'm the only one that's gonna get this space here.
Yeah.
No, I think a little bit. I mean, you look at that game, and I could play. I didn't bring my bell with me today, but ding the bell. I could ding the bell about like, man, they're coming off a bye week. Of course, they're gonna look like this. I could ding the bell about, the offensive line. The biggest concern for me all season going into the season was the offensive line. It wasn't Kyle McCord. It was offensive line, then the quarterback position. They can't run the ball. And it looks like on some of those pulling plays, it looks like they don't know where to go. Like, hey, man, like that's supposed to be an outside zone play. Why are you in the wrong hole? Like, that's not how this works. You have to climb to the second level to get the linebacker. So we talked about it in week 1 with Indiana with number 44 just making a highlight tape of tackling. Well, you know what? When you're not blocked, it's easier to tackle somebody, So that's my biggest thing about it. It's the offensive line isn't protecting well enough, and it's not getting a push on the defensive line and not climbing to the linebackers to block anybody so the run game can't go in. And then you take a first-year starting quarterback who, has had his struggles and has a ton of weapons, but isn't looking like the greatest thing since sliced bread, has big plays and big moments, but, like, it's still wonky. The offense looks wonky. And, I mean, shoot, we talked about it being a whole team game. You talked about the 2 interceptions from the defense and one of them being a pick 6 from 41, Josh Proctor, who is a player that I never thought would ever make another play at Ohio State based off of how he played last year versus Notre Dame. But, not only did he prove me wrong, he proved himself right by staying around for a 6th year, also being a starter, also making big plays in the Notre Dame game, and then had this pick 6 to really get things started for the Buckeyes yesterday. And then, so I look at the offense and I just look at a wonky situation, and I look at the special teams. Like, I mean, look at the first play of the special teams. It was a bad snap. And obviously we don't ever talk long snappers until they do something wrong. I mean, rewind back to last year with the Bengals and Steelers game. They had a backup long snapper, which, was part of the reason why the Steelers were able to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, because we were able to block an extra point. So we don't hear about long snappers till they do something wrong. Well, our long snapper did something wrong yesterday. He looked like he was trying to be on the bowling team as opposed to the football team. So that was bad. We had a bad punt. So it was just like super wonky. With all that being said, the defense looked great. Of course you're going to give up plays. In today's football, you're going to give up points and you're going to give up plays, but are you going to get them back? So they were able to get a couple sacks. They were able to get 2 interceptions, 1 pick 6. And, looking at Tia Tagovailoa, like, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. And, for the most part, you shut them down in the second half. They had the 1 drive to start the second half off, which they scored. And then after that, it was clamp city. They were unable to move the ball. And to your point about offense, this is an offensive game. It's an offensive game through and through. They're going to have to find an identity. I respect Coach Day for saying, we're not going to just go 4 wide and try to chuck the ball all over the field. We're going to have to run the ball, and he's trying everything in his power possible. You look at some of those formations. He put a defensive tackle at fullback for one of those 4th and 1s. He's doing the ghost sweeps. He's doing fake handoff sweeps, trying to cause misdirection. So it isn't a lack of trying like new plays and new things that like, all right, man, we got to get this run game going. He's tried man blocking. He's tried zone blocking. He's trying everything he can. I just simply think it's a personnel thing. It's a personnel thing. Now, obviously, that comes back to the head coach to obviously get said personnel. They're going to have to hit the transfer portal heavy or develop the younger guys on the roster because these guys right now, O-line wise, not going to be able to get it done. You can't have a mid offensive line and an average quarterback and go to the places Ohio State is desired to go.
Kenner and Cav live here, Frickers Miamisburg Sunday morning tailgate show. Recapping college football Saturday, talking Buckeyes. We'll start to get into some of the big NFL games today, including the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cardinals coming up. And normally I wouldn't say this is a big game. It's not about who the Bengals are playing. It's about where the Bengals are at this point of the season. Desperately need a win. Coming up later on this afternoon, we'll talk about that coming up around the corner. Kyle McCord, Kev, 19-29, because someone said, well, Kenner, you're being too hard. You're saying the quarterback play wasn't good. He threw for over 300 yards, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was his best game as a Buckeye quarterback, absolutely. But, I mean, some of those, I remember tweeting out at one point, and I'm not getting, by the way, he got into the best portion of the game for him was that fourth quarter. Some of those rollouts and whatever, he cussed over kind of. It was a nice design play. You talked about how creative they're having to get with kind of moving some guys around. I think that if they build on that, that's where Kyle McCord can grow and the offense can take off going from here. But all my takes about, okay, there's 10 teams better than it's based on right now where we are in early October.
Right.
But if this is who the Buckeyes are moving forward, they are not winning a national championship, and I don't see them making the college football playoffs. So everything's based on who they are right now. But, yes, all these other teams have deficiencies. Georgia had a breakout game yesterday. That's the most dominant they've looked all season. They've been number one all year. Michigan didn't let a team hang around early on. They actually did their thing, and, they took advantage early, and they never looked back. So teams are starting to heat up, at this time of the year. But Kyle McCord, very solid yesterday. There were some stretches, though, where Marvin Harrison wide the heck open. Had to stop, come back to a ball, pulled it in. Cool, whatever. You convert on, that's fine. Then there was one that
good for the highlight tape.
It was overthrown. A couple of the next possession, he had to dive out and pull one in. And I'm like, man, he's making McCord look way better than what he actually is right now. But
Miss Julian Fleming basically looked like an air punt, arm punt type of situation. And I believe on that play, on that series with Julian Fleming, when you're running that over route, where it was the arm punt situation, I believe they had to kick a field goal. So that's 4 points right there. So you talk about them pulling away, like they could have pulled away sooner if that's a better throw. So, like, if you want to chalk it up to a bye week, well, in bye weeks, you rest up and you get better. You want to get better coming out of the bye week. You don't want to see that. Like, think about it like this. Next week, your Cleveland Browns, currently this week, they're on a bye week. If they look crappy out of the bye week, how you think that's going to be played everywhere else? They're going to be looking at Coach Stefanski and saying, like, how can you not come out of a bye week ready to go? So it's the same thing for the Buckeyes. Like, why are we sloppy coming out of a bye week? Like, why is the long snapper on the bowling team out of a bye week? Why is our quarterback underthrowing the best receiver in college football who would have had like an 80-yard touchdown on a play? Why are we underthrowing an overroute when there's nobody over by Julian Fleming? So it's a lot of underthrows. So these are things that have to get corrected. Like, are you seeing it late? Is that what it is? I don't know. I'm not a head coach, but I know I see things that I need cleaned up to get us to where we want to go. Because next week, it's at Purdue.
Noon kick.
Thank goodness. And Rondell Moore is playing in the NFL. And Brom is coaching down there in Louisville, beating Notre Dame. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that situation. But after that, we got Penn State. So obviously we as fans can overlook Purdue. They can't overlook Purdue because they're the actually ones playing. But, we're all looking at that Penn State game on the 21st. So that's number 4 versus number 6. So that's the next big test. I mean, this Maryland game was a test. Like, all right, how are you going to perform after a big road win at Notre Dame, after a bye week, a good offense, Tia Tagovailoa, Coach Loxley, going back to his days, coaching at Illinois, came into the shoe and beat Ohio State that one time, everything like that. So it's a very good coaching staff, good offense, everything like that. You pass the test. Defensively, you sure passed the test. Offensively, you got it done. But Penn State in 2 weeks.
That's where it's at.
That's where it's at. That's where we're all going to be looking.
So it was kind of funny because earlier in the week, Paul Keels came on Thursday.
The great Paul Keels.
And, I said, Paul, I feel like, the defense is much improved, obviously, from last year, from Jim Knowles' first year to this year. But, Notre Dame, still a very kind of vanilla offense, so didn't really test the defense, but they still made the tough plays up front. I felt like Maryland was going to be a bigger test than Notre Dame was from a defensive perspective. Like, just the type of offense they run, they're the best statistical offense in the Big Ten. And because he's such a professional, well, I could see why you see it that way, but here's the thing. And then he goes into just shredding my every take. But he did text me last night and said, Maryland obviously gave him more fits than I had anticipated. He goes, even though your points weren't exactly about that, he goes, yes, you were right. Maryland did give him more fit. I'm like, but it wasn't my point. My point was about the defense. My point was the defense. I feel good about Ohio State's defense. They're the ones that each week look better and better and better. And there's
absolutely
slight improvements in the offense from time to time, but it's like when they get one thing figured out, then the run game takes a step back. And it's like, we're spoiled. We're used to the Dwayne Haskins, to the Justin Fields, to the CJ Stroud. And we didn't get that transition this time. And that's okay. Ryan Day is getting it right more times than he's not. He's 50-6.
Yeah.
He's the fastest. I think he said the fourth fastest coach to get to 50 wins in college football history. Like, the dude is not regressing this team. They're not as strong in certain areas that we've seen from previous coaching regimes, but we can get into the Ryan Day stuff, later on.
Oh, man, we definitely have to get into that. Maybe we get into it on the show tomorrow, man. I see something in Coach. I see something like he's
changed.
Agitated. Super agitated. I mean, you think about the touchdown, the first touchdown to Marv, and they called sideline interference from head coach of Ohio State. Like, that's what the ref said. And then obviously we get it right back on the very next play. We get the touchdown and everything like that. And he's going crazy. Coach is going crazy. And I have to look at it again to see if there's anything that I see. But Joel Klatt was talking like, I've never seen some of these calls on a team before. Like, I've never seen a guy get called for motion like Xavier Johnson did on that one play. Like, it's like there's something going on between Coach Day and the ref. And you normally don't hear that type of stuff in football. This is normally a basketball thing.
Yep.
This is normally a basketball thing. So I'm not sure what's going on with Coach Day. Maybe he's been hanging out with Coach Altman or something like that, getting some pointers on how to get at the refs or whatever. But, like, Coach, we can't afford stuff like that. Like, we can't afford to get touchdowns taken off the board or whatever. So I don't know. I know Buckeye fanatics, and I'm one of them as well, will say, like, man, the refs are messing with us or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It could be that, or it could be, hey, man, Coach is just dialed up, and he's just like, he's fiery, and this is a change that a lot of Buckeye fans have wanted, but we can't take points off the board for penalties, and definitely can't be for what the coaches are doing.
Well, the whole time, he must be from the SEC. He's an SEC official. That's what it is right there. No, but so another pushback I got yesterday, Kev, was, Kenner, you can't focus in on the deficiencies of Ohio State. Every team in the top 10 has deficiencies.
1,000,000%.
Absolutely. But then what you got to do is go a step further. You got to start ranking the deficiencies from most concerning deficiencies to least concerning deficiencies. And as I kind of stated earlier, I feel like a lot of these teams, even with their deficient, that's a good thing here. There's not one perfect team as far as pass game, strong pass game, strong run game, elite defense. Like, that team doesn't exist in college football this season. There are some who are really, really good defensively with, good offenses, but not elite. Everyone has deficiencies, but you talked about the run game. You talked about the offensive line, Kyle McCord not looking like the Justin Fields and the CJ Strouds and the Haskins and the guys that we've seen in Ryan Day's, offense, throughout his era here. The reason I'm so hard on Ohio State is because if you're not very good, like USC, and Buckeye fans will tell you, I feel better about Ohio State than USC. But Ohio State's like, USC's not gonna be able to stop anyone, as we saw yesterday. But that offense, they're always gonna have a chance to come out on top no matter who they're playing because of that offense. That's why I called the not really the upset, but Colorado. I felt like they could hang with USC a few weeks ago because I'm like, well, the USC's not gonna stop them, so they're gonna have a chance to stay in it because they can outscore. I don't know if Ohio State can win in a shootout against USC. That would be my thing. So I look at Ohio State and I'm like, well, question marks at quarterback, question marks at offensive line, question marks at, the run game. That's too many question marks when you're going up against all the other teams who, yes, have deficiencies. But I'm going to take Florida State and their deficiencies because of Jordan Davis, because of their quarterback. Jordan, is that his name? Did I get that right?
Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis. I didn't sound right when I, Penn State, better quarterback, solid defense, better run game. I like, as of right now, this could all change, but
Right.
Penn State, I'd feel better as a Penn State fan about what they have than Washington. My goodness, I feel better about them than I do Ohio State, because everyone's like, well, name them. Kenner, you keep saying this, name them. Oregon, Bo Nix, an up and down quarterback, but right now I feel better. I'm more confident about who he is as a QB than what Ohio State has. USC, you can go down the list. North Carolina, I'm not comfortable picking over Ohio State, but they have a run game. They just got an elite receiver back. That was kind of cool that they announced that. That's can carry them to that next level. My point is that Ohio State's not in trouble, but I think they have way more problems to address than these other teams who, yes, have deficiencies, but their strengths can combat those. I don't know if Ohio State's strengths are enough to combat some of the question marks they have. That would be my concern.
That's fair. That's fair, because the thing about it is, and this is any fan base across the country, this isn't just you. This is any person that watches their team. So if you live in Pennsylvania, Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, there's a sports show out there, Kenner and Kev version out there. Their Kenner is probably looking at Penn State the same way you're looking at Ohio State.
Sorry, my bad. I can't just let you talk.
They're looking at it the same way. They're looking at it the exact same way that you are, like looking at the deficiencies. I don't think anybody looks at their team that has deficiencies and looks at other teams the exact same way, because we're not watching other teams the same way that we're watching our teams. Like USC Arizona game I'm watching last night. I'm watching as a fan of football. I'm just watching, like, I'm just looking for a good game. When I'm watching Ohio State play anybody, I'm looking for us to dominate. I'm not looking, I don't know the names of all the guys on USC's roster. I know everybody that plays for Ohio State. I know the whole two deep. I know everybody. Like Sonny Styles, when you made that great play yesterday for the TFL, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Sonny's making plays. I love it. And I'm like, oh man, Josh Parker, he had a pick six, man. He was about to be out of football. Like, he was about to be an insurance salesman, and he making plays for the Buckeyes. I love it. Like, but I'm watching the guys from Arizona making plays on USC. I'm like, all right, go number 21. Like, it's a total difference. Like, there's a connection. There's attachment to your team. So you're going to look at it from a perspective of like, man, we got to get better. We got to get better. As opposed to like, all right, man, USC, man, they all right. Well, their defense stinks. Well, whatever. It's not really my concern. Our concern are the Buckeyes. Our passion is the Buckeyes. And I think if we look at how other teams play the same scrutiny or the same eye, we would find those holes. Because, I mean, you look at how Georgia played yesterday. Oh, man, they put it on. They put it on Kentucky. But when haven't they put it on Kentucky?
Top 25.
Absolutely.
Kentucky, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
and they deserve to be in the top 25. I mean, the way they throttled Florida last week, absolutely, they deserve to be out there. But, like, rewinding, last week, they were in a battle with Auburn. 27-7. They were losing in the fourth quarter versus Auburn. So, like, it's the same thing. Like, we can nitpick all this. I mean, you rewind to their team last year, the national championship team from last year. They were losing to Mizzou in the fourth quarter. So, like, we can play this game all day long. But our passion is the Buckeyes, and there's nothing wrong with holding the team that you root for to a high standard. I mean, it's the standard that Ohio State has created for themselves.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, about that is, and I remember when we came into the season, I'm like, I think we're too high on Ohio. Now, you were concerned. But the thing is, we kept talking about the deficiencies for Ohio State. And I kept saying, how could we say Ohio State's a national championship contender coming into the season when if we were talking about Alabama and we said, man, you know what? I don't think their offensive line's very good. Their quarterback's not going to be very good. And that defense isn't very good either. Would we say that Alabama's a national championship contender?
No. And that's why I don't think they're national championship. Their defense still good. Quarterback,
But I mean, those talking points about Ohio State. So if we're saying, man, I don't know what our quarterback's going to be. Things aren't good coming out of camp from what we hear. That offensive line, that's going to be a huge problem, man. And then the defense. Well, the defense ended up being better than we thought, but we didn't think with the running back room being as deep as it is, we didn't think that the O-line would be so bad that it would prevent the run game. So now there's a trickle. There's more question marks than answers as far as what the identity of Ohio State is. If I was to tell you that Georgia's identity is they're average offensively, their defense is okay, but they can't run the ball and their offensive line is bad, we would not say they're the number one team in the country. So Buckeye fans, stop getting mad at me when I'm questioning. I'm not stirring the pot. Look, I'm an Ohio State fan. I just don't feel good about it. Now, if Kyle McCord the next 3 weeks throws for 300 or 280 to 300.
Well, you can't rely on the stats because he did that yesterday, but it still didn't look good. I'm looking at how it looks. How does it look? And ultimately the result, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, rewinding back to the 02 team with Coach Tressel and Krenzel and Claret and Dawson, those guys, like I think they blew like 2 teams out all season. Yeah, they blew
like, enough produce
yeah,
up, so.
they blew like 2 teams out all season long, and they were still the national champions. And that is one of the luxuries about, being Ohio State. If you just win, you win by a point, you win by 100 points. You win, you're going to be exactly where you want to be. So, with Purdue next week and then Penn State, got to win. And this is becoming a part of the time of the season where you can't afford losses. Like the weather has obviously changed. The weather is changing and everything like that. You're getting down to the nitty gritty where you can't afford to lose if you want to be in the college football playoff, because I'm not sure if you can lose in November and still make it to the college football playoff. So.
Yep, and one key thing, too, to keep in mind, again, the playoffs don't start for a long time. The final poll doesn't come out for another month and a half. We're good. There's plenty of time. But Ohio State, technically, big picture, resume-wise, you're talking about the urgency of making sure you're winning. No one wants to lose, but
right.
You could overcome losses in the past. But I don't know. Their big win doesn't look as big anymore.
Right.
Like Ohio State won yesterday, but they kind of lost because Notre Dame's loss hurts them, because yesterday a lot of people were defending them, saying, well, no one else has a win like Ohio State does. Well, now is that win is sexy, because we wouldn't give it to Alabama if they had a win over a 2-loss team and say that's the best win. It's going to be
right.
Texas. I still like them more than Ohio State as we sit here right now. But again, that can change.
Right.
Sarkisian he got out coached yesterday big time. Venables got to give him credit. I was down on him, down on Oklahoma.
Boomer Sooner.
It's a powerful program. I feel like they're close to getting their powers back. I don't.
You never know. You never know what'll happen. You never know what'll happen. You just never know. You just never know, man. But yeah, man. I mean, it was so many coaching situations yesterday.
Miami. Welcome to Miami. How about get out of Miami? What in the hell happened there?
Oh my gosh. So I didn't see that live. I didn't see it live. I was coming back from an event, and I finally get home, sit down on the couch. I turn on the USC and Arizona State game. So I'm messing around on Twitter, and then I see it on Twitter, and I'm like, wait a minute. And they're, the announcers are talking about, like, why aren't they just taking a knee? And then he fumbles, and then ultimately Georgia Tech wins the game. And there's so many blunders on so many people's part. Obviously, the first goes to coach Cristobal for not just taking the knee and getting out of dodge and getting the victory. Second goes to the referees, because dude was clearly down. Then it goes to the people up in the booth who said, yeah, we're not even going to review it. And then ultimately Georgia Tech comes back and wins. So you want to talk about like people doing gambling and things of that nature. Like, how much money was won, and then on the other side lost from that. And then it goes back to Coach Cristobal, his post-game press conference.
I didn't see that. What happened?
Oh, my goodness. Uh-oh. He was like, man, we talk about ball security and this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking like, wait, did you just put this on the players? Did you just do that? He did that in a press conference. So whatever good mojo Miami had is probably out the window. They were 5-0 going into that game, had that game sold up. Just should have obviously taken the knee and got out of there, been 6-0 and moving on to next week and getting better, yada, yada, yada. But now you've lost this game. Then you as a head coach blame the player as opposed to talking about what you done as a coach.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we talk about ball security all the time. We got to hang on to the ball. Or you could just take a knee and get out of dodge. I mean, the new clock rules are set up for teams in the lead to win the game. It's set up for you to win the game. Just take the knee and get out of dodge. And then I'm going on a deep Twitter rabbit hole. He talks about another time that this has happened back when he was back when they were out in
appreciate the effort though.
out when he was coaching in Oregon, kind of the same situation happened. And then, you get into this figuring out why he does that or whatever. There's no rhyme or reason why. It's like his whole rhyme or reason why is like, we play to the final whistle, like that mantra or whatever. Like, the game isn't over till it's over. So he doesn't take knees. Oh boy, I bet you'll be taking a knee next time he has a 4-point lead with 30 seconds to go with the ball.
America.
Man.
Sorry, my bad.
Moron. That's what he is. He blew it. He blew it big time. And like, those are the type of things that get coaches fired. Those are the things that get coaches fired. I mean, you talk about, the Red River rivalry and everything like that. I mean, to settle for a field goal and not keep on burning clock. What are you doing? This is 2023, man. Dudes score touchdowns in 4 plays.
Maryland made some dumb decisions at halftime yesterday too. Like it was a lot of bad coaching blunders yesterday. Like that's a great. We're gonna Kyle McCord. You need to start showing. You need to get better. Offensive line. You need to get better. Coaches, you're paid. I don't care if players are paid now. You're paid more.
Yeah, you
that's
100%. Like the Tua Tila Tagovailoa situation, like, is a bad play. It's a bad play. Like, he threw it in the middle of the field as opposed to throwing it to the sidelines. They had a speed out over there. He didn't throw it. He could have just threw it away, then kicked the field goal and everything like that. That type of stuff is going to happen. Like, you saw Coach Lotz, like, what are you doing? And talking to him, like, as he go to the half, like, dude, just ground it, throw it out of bounds, do something. You can't throw it in the middle of the field. We don't have no timeouts. That's going to happen. Like, players mess up and everything like that. But you as a coach with the lead, and it's not just the head coach, it's the offensive coordinator, it's anybody on the coaching staff that, hey, they're always on headsets. They're all connected to a headset. Coach, we should knee. Coach, we should just take a knee. Wait, why are we running the play? Like, granted, nobody probably thought that was going to happen, but still, like, hey, take a knee, we get up out of here. How many times have we seen coaches taking their headsets off, undoing all their outfits, brushing their hair, getting ready for the post-game interview because they know they're about to just take a knee and get out of Dodge? Why are we running the play? Why are we running the play? Like, it's not the time to try to be selfish and rack up more rushing yards or anything like that. It's time to get the victory and go home. That's what time it is. So, like, that's the type of thing that can cripple a program and set a program back. And, you go into the rest of conference play, you're behind the needle. You're behind the needle, behind everybody. So I'm not sure what he was thinking.
That's Shaw, right?
It is.
I want to make sure. I was like, if that's not him, and I'm just giving the thumbs down to some random stranger, that would have been awesome. Continue though.
That would have been awesome. So, like, Coach Cristobal, like, bro, like, I don't know how you're gonna make it out of this situation. You're gonna have to play for the ACC championship to save whatever mojo you got going on down there in Miami, man, because those players could turn on you in a heartbeat, especially with the transfer portal nowadays. Like, people could just be like, yeah, I lost confidence in the coaching staff for this. And we can blame the referees for obviously missing that call. Obviously, they missed a call, and obviously that cost them the game. But why are you running the ball at all?
Yep.
Why?
Well, I tell you what, people at Wayne are like, well, sometimes victory formation isn't always bulletproof, as far as that's concerned. But nonetheless. All right, folks. Wow, it's the heck did the time go, Kevin?
Got time?
It's 12:11.
I'm talking like you.
We haven't talked in an entire week, and it's like,
Catch up.
It's supposed to be a 20-minute. Here we are, 40 minutes in. Lots to still get into. It's Kinner. No, it's not. It's actually Kinner. Well, yeah. Kinner and Kev live here on a Sunday morning tailgate show. Frickers in Miamisburg. Shaw's tough and look, he's wearing the shorts. He ain't wearing, you want a glass of hot water like Kev? Anyway.
Cultural.
Yeah. All right, folks, we'll be right back. It's the Kinner and Kev show. It's whatever. You know what? It's cold.
Y'all know what station y'all listen to.
Yes, you know what you're listening to. We know what we got going on here. It's the Kinner and Kev show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
2 times the healthy blood pressure support? That's a number to rave about. Thanks to Superbeats Heart Chew's unique 2X ingredient that helps promote normal blood pressure nearly 2 times more effectively than diet and exercise alone. Superbeats is America's #1 selling beet brand and the only #1 cardiologist, doctor, and pharmacist recommended beet brand for heart health support. A clinical study showed that the key ingredient in Superbeats Heart Chews is nearly 2 times more effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. And they're part of a brand with over 60,000 5-star ratings and reviews. So double your potential with a special offer exclusively for radio listeners. Get a free 30-day supply of Superbeats Heart Chews and 15% off your first order at getsuperbeats.com with code RADIO. That's a free 30-day supply and 15% off for radio listeners only at getsuperbeets.com, code RADIO.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Yep, I'm looking at the pages right now.
Thomas's translation company just lost its only 2 Spanish speakers. Without the right replacements, he'll be in problemas.
Yeah, we'll have those ready. Tonight's going to be a late one.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros for 15 years. Train with the experts in support, networking, or cybersecurity and start your career in months, not years. Upskill even faster. On campus or live online. Qualified students may get financial aid, including the GI Bill. My Computer Career. Accredited, acclaimed, effective. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu.
I'm living the life that I lived before I started having knee pain 10 years ago.
Meet Julie, a woman who makes the most of every moment in life. But over the last years, those moments were filled with agonizing pain until she discovered QC Kinetics.
Finally, the pain got so bad that people around me are like, oh, when are you getting your knee replaced? I was walking, hobbling. I listened to my last QC Kinetics commercial and I said, I'm done. I got to find out about this.
What Julie found out was QC Kinetics treats osteoarthritis with regenerative therapies, taking your body's own healing properties and concentrating them in the areas where you feel pain, helping heal and restore those damaged areas. No harmful steroids, surgery, or downtime.
It changed how I'm living. I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
Get back your life before the pain. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
Paid for by Cordell & Cordell.
After a big dinner, my nighttime heartburn would keep me up. I'd be taking antacid after antacid all night long. But then I tried Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day blocks my frequent heartburn for a full 24 hours, giving me one-and-done heartburn relief. Without heartburn keeping me up, I could have a restful night's sleep.
Prilosec OTC. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
At the UPS Store, we know this upcoming holiday is when things can get busy for small business owners.
Exactly. My to-do list and I don't take days off.
That's why you can count on us to be open and ready to help with every small business need, whether it's packing and shipping or if it's just to check your mailbox.
That's almost everything on my to-do list. My list and I can take the day off.
Your local, the everything to help you be unstoppable store. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. The UPS Store locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video it has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kenner, Kev Nash, live here at Frickers in Miamisburg. It's our Sunday morning tailgate show, and we're off and rolling. Even Shaw decided to come out and say hello. Oh, it would help if, can you hear?
There we go.
Now, I had the wrong one up, so now now we're good to go. Fumble on the play, but we're off and rolling here again. We're going to get into some NFL stuff coming up here in just a moment, but, when the rankings come out today, when's the first playoff poll come out? Isn't it? They did it 2 weeks earlier
earlier this year.
Yeah. And I think it's smart. I mean, look, everyone always said, look, the first polls mean nothing, blah, blah, blah. I always think the polls always matter because the polls are constantly telling you what the voters are looking for. What they looked for last year may not put as much emphasis as what they put on some talking points last year. The bottom line is it's always the escape valve for them. They have so many talking points that, it's one of those things where they could just, lean into one or the other when teams have resumes that are strong enough to guarantee that they're going to be in the top whatever when it's all said and done. But if the poll came out, and we're going to do this more in depth throughout the week, but is Ohio State a top 4 team if the polls came out today?
I would say no. Okay. Right there on the cusp, right knocking on the door. And to answer your question, the first polls come out on Halloween.
Okay.
So that Tuesday of Halloween. I would say no. I would probably go with Michigan, Georgia, Florida State. And for me, it would do Washington. So I would have
Oklahoma's win over Texas doesn't do.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I like Washington.
It would definitely boost them up there for sure. This is the win that they needed, but this is their first, game versus a name opponent.
Yep.
Everything like that. So and even the Big 12 is down this year. The Big 12 isn't like what it was last year. The TCUs and the Oklahoma States aren't up there like they were last year, or even Kansas State aren't up there last year. It's really back to those two powered teams, Oklahoma and Texas being on the top. But this win for Oklahoma is not only huge. I mean, just think how they got blew out last year. I think it was almost 50-0 last year, if I'm not mistaken, and versus Texas. But this win, right now, in the coaches poll, I think they're at 6. So this is going to jump them up at least to the top 6 for sure. I mean, considering where Texas was. So, and this isn't going to drop Texas out of contention. They're still in it. You could have one loss. You can have one loss and being a loss to a team that's up there as well, and how they do things in the Big 12 is awesome because if both teams run the table, they play again. So, they're not out of it. But for me, with talking about Ohio State, no, I don't think they're a top 4 team right now.
Yeah, because for after next week, Washington, Oregon play. So I feel like if the playoff poll came out tonight, I believe it would be Georgia, Michigan 1 and 2. I'd put Florida State at 3, and then I would pump Oklahoma all the way up to 4.
Oh, wow.
Just because of that win over Texas. I mean, that's a top 4 team as far as that's concerned. I would have Washington, the winner of Washington, Oregon. Well, no, because it's based on tonight. I'd still have Washington at 5. And then after that, I mean, Buckeye fans will get mad. It would be, you can make a justification to put Texas at 6 versus Ohio State if you wanted to, but I think they would give the love to Ohio State being undefeated. But the committee has always said, losses aren't always a bad thing. It's who you lose to, how you lose, were you competitive. That's why I think they're there. But yeah, this is as wide open as it's been. Penn State's going to obviously, have a huge say in it.
Yeah.
Ohio State has to be big Penn State fans over the next couple of weeks because you want them to be at their absolute best if you beat them so that you're going to get that love that Oklahoma is now getting for their win over Texas. So I think that's important. Washington, Oregon, big fan of that. USC is going to continue to be kept at an arm's length away because of that defense. The thing that's wild, though, is I know defense is important. You have to have a defense to win championships, all that stuff. But, I mean, if you look at Georgia and Michigan last year, 2 best defenses in the country, no doubt about it. Michigan gave up what was that? I'm not rubbing it in, Shaw. Did they give up 40 or 50 to TCU? 52. So, I get, we make a big point about Ohio State's defense improving. You want to have a good defense, but when you're going up against the best of the best when the playoffs get here, sometimes even the best defenses have no answer for the best offenses. That's why, Georgia, number one defense in the country, they looked pedestrian when they went up against Ohio State's offense and so on and so on. So USC, that offense, that catapults them over a lot of teams. I just don't think they're going to be loved by the playoff committee at this point, just because of how bad, you don't have to have an elite defense, but you can't have a horrifically bad defense. That's what's going to hurt them when it's all said.
I was just about to say that. Like, there's a difference between having, Georgia's defense that's now playing for the Philadelphia Eagles versus having a sieve.
Yeah.
Their back end of USC has me playing cornerback, Shaw playing safety, you playing the other cornerback. That's who they have out there playing. Now, the defensive line is real good. They're good against the run. But you know what? Why run it when you can throw all over them? You can just throw it all over them. And, Alex Grinch is, he's had his time with Ohio State. That didn't work out too well for him at Ohio State or our team with him being our defensive coordinator. He linked on with Lincoln Riley out there at Oklahoma. That wasn't so great. Now he's linked on with Lincoln Riley out there in USC, and it's still not great. So, I'm not sure if it's the scheme. I'm not sure if it's the coach. I'm not sure if it's the players. But one thing I do know is, hey, man, if I'm a wide receiver, I can't wait to play USC because I'm about to put up some numbers. I'm about to put some numbers, and that's the tape that I'm going to send to the NFL. Like, look what I did to USC. 3 catches for $120. How about me?
So the other thing that'd be interesting, too, when it's all said and done is, Alabama's an interesting one. I do think if the playoff poll came out tonight, Alabama's 9 or 10. I don't think they're – because the one loss, obviously, but you could have a loss. Like Texas with one loss will be ranked higher if the playoff poll came out tonight than Alabama, and as they should. Texas is better. They beat Alabama for one, but they have that elite-level quarterback. They have NFL players on both sides of the ball. That stuff, I know NFL is not a main talking point in the committee, but the good players is. Like, that stuff matters. Either way, like I said, this season, this has been a blast. Like, it's boring. I love the 14 playoff because it makes the talking points interesting and adds more urgency. But imagine if this type of season, like what's going to happen is watch next year for the 12 team. It's going to be so top heavy that it makes the 12 team conversation just kind of boring.
Yeah.
This would be a perfect year to debut the 12 team playoff because I've always been one of those, and I've been wrong based on this season. There's only 1 or 2 teams that have a real shot to win the championship every year. Well, to be fair, that's usually the case. This year, though, are we starting to trend towards this every? This is awesome. Like I love this. I think
it's awesome for the bigger fan bases. I don't think it's awesome for the smaller schools because I think they're going to get pushed even further down. And like we talk about parity, like, yeah, we want parity with brand name teams. Like, does this mean like, oh man, not only we're going to get Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, and Alabama, oh man, we're going to get Oklahoma, we're going to get, Washington and Penn State. They're also in the mix. Like, yeah, you guys can come to the party, but like, hey man, even like I talked about this last year with TCU. If TCU was named Texas or Oklahoma, people wouldn't have had a problem with them being in the playoff. But they're TCU. They're not a name brand. They're not a name brand that everybody wrapped their arms around. They don't have a story history going all the way back to, the 1950s and everything like that. So brand names still hold weight to, the eyeballs and everything like that. I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with when the Travis Kelce and Taylor thing, took over the NFL. It's moving the needle because it's Taylor Swift. Like, we love celebrity. We love popular things. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way it is, unfortunately, for, lower level teams or whatever, or not brand name teams. But the thing about this college football thing, currently the way it's set up with the 14 playoff and the way things are right now, it's wide open. So like right now, we're looking at Alabama and saying like they don't look the part, or Ohio State, they don't look the part. Well, guess what? That's where the eyeball test comes into play, because we can look at the teams like a Georgia, like a Michigan. Like, all right, not only are they winning, they look the part as well. Yep. But then when you get to the other teams, like, all right, man, it's fair to put the eyeball test on there. It's fair to say, like, game of control. It's fair to look at who they played and how they played when, you're trying to go through this whole thing with a fine-tooth comb. So when the 12-team playoff comes, that's going to be eliminated. And that's going to eliminate a lot of conversation, because ultimately, like, are we really going to care about teams 13, 14, and 15? Because that team's going to probably have 3 losses. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's out there really talking about LSU like, oh, man, they should still be in the conversation. 1, because they have 2 losses, and 2, their defense is just as bad as USC's.
Yep. Yep, and that's the thing. Is there an SEC team? The SEC is very average this year. Is there an SEC team that's not a one-loss SEC team that's not Alabama that you should just circle? For me, Tennessee is the one I'm just circling. Look, they're not making the 14 playoff, but we see it every year. There was a 2-loss LSU team a year ago that was all of a sudden getting major push at the tail end. So I don't think I'm being that silly. I watch, because of one of my best friends, Brad, being a Tennessee fan, I watch Tennessee every single week. Offensively, they would give Ohio State fits. Offensively, they look more crisp than Ohio State offensively. Defensively, as good. Maybe they have a few more defensive weapons than Ohio State, but Tennessee's just out of the SEC. Knowing that the SEC gets that little, what's that word? That kiss from time to time. I'm just saying Tennessee might be a team outside of Alabama that has one loss that just to kind of keep an eye on as far as that's concerned. But it's been enjoyable looking up at the top. I have no problem with Georgia being there. I really don't. Back-to-back national champions. They're undefeated. They're taking care of. But I love seeing really a lot of Big Ten teams. I mean, between obviously Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, Oregon, USC. I mean, my goodness. Let's be clear. I'm taking credit for them now. Let's go.
They're not here yet. They're still repping the Pac-12. Shouts out to the RIP Pac-12. They're trying to go out in style. But to answer your question about a one-loss SEC team to keep an eye on, my team would be Ole Miss.
My bad. I'll take them over Tennessee. Sorry, Brad. You're right.
It is so hard for me to say this because I like Lane Kiffin's mind. I love his offensive mind. Him as a guy irks me, but they put up points outside of when they play Alabama. Everybody that they play outside of Alabama, they score on. So I think they are able to make some noise. But the biggest problem with them is they still got to play Georgia. So not only do they play in the SEC West, so they've already lost to Alabama, but they beat LSU. They still got to play a conference opponent from the SEC East, and this year is going to be Georgia. So they might get a second loss, and then that might knock them out of it. That might knock them out of even playing in the SEC championship versus a Georgia.
I will say this. Everyone talks about, Shaw over here loves to talk about the SEC bias. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't – it's not. The SEC bias is being framed as we're going to push bad SEC teams in over good teams from other conferences. And I don't think that's the case. I think they get a little bit more leash than most teams do when they do struggle. But I don't blame SEC bias for why there's been so much SEC dominance throughout the college football playoff era. I blame the Pac-12. If this Pac-12 existed for years now, I don't think we're talking about as many. Like I think some Alabama's on those seasons, they're getting thumped a bit, or a Georgia's getting thumped a bit. They're not being pushed into the playoff. I'm going to take a one-loss SEC team over a top team out of the Pac-12 in years past because the Pac-12 has been so bad. This Pac-12 has taken off, and it's like if there were more respectable, like if the ACC had more, like if Florida, like this Florida State. Imagine if this Florida State existed over the years. Imagine if USC and these other teams doing what they're supposed to. If even Texas is doing this out of the Big 12. I don't think we're pushing that narrative as much. I think that these conferences, this is a hell of a year for college football, but I blame those other conferences for why the SEC bias narrative was pushed as much, because to say that there's an SEC bias, well, then who was pushed out that shouldn't have been pushed out? The Pac-12 has been horrible. The Big 12 has been horrible. The ACC has had Clemson, but if they have Florida State to have another weapon to kind of go to combat the SEC, I guess that's always my big thing is I believe that exists because I'm a Buckeye fan and Ohio State gets that same SEC bias that everyone talks about. They're getting a lot of love right now. They have a lot of deficiencies, but they're Ohio State, so they're given the benefit of the doubt. That's more the bias is given the benefit of the doubt because, well, we look at the recruiting rankings. We know the weapons you have on your roster. We know that you have better players on your roster than these teams. So we see you improving more than this team over here. Like I said, I blame the Pac-12, I blame the Big 12 and the ACC being down over the years outside of Clemson for why that narrative has been pushed as much as it has.
I think bias is definitely out there. I mean, whenever you have quote unquote talking heads on whatever network that you work for or whatever, pushing an agenda, like, not to get political, but like, if you watch one news network, you're going to get one thing. You watch a different news network, you're going to get another thing. It's the same way when you get a talking head from, a certain conference. I mean, there's no mystery why, Joel Klatt is where he is waving what he waves. Just same thing with Paul Feinbaum. Like, you're not going to go out there and push the same narrative. Like, hey, man, I work for this network, so I'm going to be talking about how good these teams are. Like, you look at their rankings of teams, you can see it right there. I mean, there's other people that we know that have a certain conference super in their top five. Like all their top five are all from one conference, and you like, well, those teams aren't that good. Like you're not gonna tell me like people don't have innate biases. So that's just one thing. The other part is when you look at the Pac-12, I want to see how people are 2, 3, 4 weeks from right now, because right now everybody's in love with the Pac-12. Everybody like, man, the Pac-12 is great. The Pac-12 is great. Look at all these quarterbacks. These guys are going all go in the first round. They love it. They love it. They love it. But when they start cannibalizing themselves, people are going to be like, oh man, the Pac-12, same old Pac-12. Well, wait, 2, 3 weeks ago, it was all love. What's going to have to happen from the Pac-12? Somebody's going to have to come through that thing with an O.
Yep.
Somebody's got to come through there with an O. And the other team's got to come through there with a 1. And they got to play in their conference championship game for the respectability to be there. Because that's what happens in the SEC. Like, they're able to navigate their conference. It always comes out with an O or a 1. When you do that, you're able to survive. You're able to have those big names around you. So I think that I don't necessarily believe – I think we talked about this in the summertime. I think that everybody in the college football playoff is going to have a 1 loss. I think everybody that plays for the college football playoff.
Has that ever? No, there's always been at least one undefeated
I
team.
think everybody. So I think everybody's going to have a loss on their schedule, and that's going to make complete madness.
So, and that's the thing too with all this conference realignment. You're going to have obviously the Big Ten, the SEC loading up with Texas, Oklahoma, obviously USC, Washington, Oregon. It's almost I do have fear of the Big Ten loading up like this, because it's almost going to, your chances of picking up a loss have increased now significantly.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're going to have teams who are losing 1 to 2 games a year that maybe weren't before, that now look bad. Or like the talking, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like it's easy to be Ohio State and Michigan when you play in the Big Ten when there's a half of an elite team in Penn State. Because I'll give Michigan the last 2 years, they finally put themselves up there with Ohio State, right? Or maybe past them. They beat them the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of one of them things where my concern a year from now, when we talk about the feel of these teams, you're right. The Pac-12 feels dominant right now. They won't feel as dominant when you have a bunch of one-loss teams here in a few weeks.
Right.
But that's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC a year from now. You can't go unscathed when you're playing Texas and Oklahoma and you're playing Georgia and you're playing Alabama. And those are just the proven programs. Those aren't the other ones that kind of hover in the middle there. Ole Miss is dangerous. Obviously, Auburn can flip that switch anytime. Obviously, LSU with Kelly there. I just like that's going to be weird where some of these programs are going after the money, but they're going to realize, or conferences, it might hurt them in the long run when the perception of their conferences end up changing, where, Oklahoma is, of course, they're going to have a dominant final season in the Big 12 before they go over to the SEC and just become average. Not because they're a bad program, but because now it's feast or famine over there. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
I'm very interested to see how these schedules play out. Like, because you have all these,
you saw them come out this week,
from the Big Ten. Yeah. I haven't seen anything from like the SEC or the Big 12 how they're going to map things out. But like, it isn't like, oh man, everybody's it's all conference play. They're still out of conference games. They're still going to go on. So like, how many years is it going to be until this opponent plays that opponent? How many years is it until, you play at their school? You know what I'm saying? So like, I think like these ADs and these coaches still have a lot of weight and sway in these rooms to make sure that like, hey man, like we're used to going, 10-2, man. Like this is what we do, everything like that. I don't think that they're going to be prepared for those teams to start going, all right, hey man, you're 9-3. That's considered a good year. I don't know.
All right, Kenner and Kev, live here at Frickers in Miamisburg. It's the Sunday morning tailgate show. Kev Nash filling in for KB. KB had the captain's dinner Friday night. That's why he didn't do high school football with us for the Buckeyes, of course. And then, obviously, I think he's doing something with the Eagles today. I know it was one of his former NFL teams he was doing something with today.
Hopefully it's Miami.
Those wings look good. Miami. Yeah. Welcome to Miami. Yeah. All right, folks, we'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, this is what almost caused Shaw to get banned from social media earlier this week. Urban Meyer.
Herbs.
To Michigan State. By the way, I love Herbs because yesterday, they did a thing where they went and combed through every outfit that Urban Meyer has ever worn on these game day shows and everything. He's never worn the color blue and he's never worn the color green. Yesterday, He just happened to have a green shirt that he had on. Yesterday, he playing right into it. Urban Meyer, is he coaching again? And is it going to be at Michigan State? Should Michigan State even kick the tires on this, even though they already have? Just so you hear me over there. Yes, they have. There's been nope, not doing that. We will be right back. We'll be right back. Kinner and Kev live at Frickers, 1410 ESPN Radio.
This is Keith Byers for Superbook Sports. You spend valuable time thinking about which bets to place each week. So why wouldn't you want the best company in the business to be the one who handles those bets? Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in Las Vegas, and it's now live right here in Ohio for all your sports wagering needs. Superbook has a team of dedicated odds makers behind the counter in Las Vegas setting all the prices. We're talking about guys with decades of experience showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to Hockey and Hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
People are talking about Carol Works Tire and Auto Service.
Over the last few years, I've purchased 3 sets of tires from Carol Works. Each time, service has been excellent, from answering questions to scheduling and installation. Thanks for the good work.
Carol Works Tire and Auto Service treats every customer like family and every vehicle like their own. It's about the relationship, not the sale. Carol Works Tire and Auto Service. Large or small, they fix them all. Call 937-461-5441 or visit c-wtire.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. That's 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
Did you know Carol Works Tire isn't just for tires? We're also one of the leading service centers in the area. Our knowledgeable staff focuses on honesty, allowing you to make informed decisions. If you need routine maintenance or necessary repairs, contact us at Carol Works Tire. Pothole season is here. Sometimes they are unavoidable, like the big hit on the last play. Yearly alignment checks will identify worn or loose steering and suspension components that may be robbing you of tire life and fuel economy. Contact us at Carol Works Tire.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. Prepare and protect your boats and recreational vehicles for the colder weather with RV and marine antifreeze. Its burst-proof protection is formulated to defend freezing temperatures down to -50 degrees. Protect your investments and get a gallon for $2.49 after 11% off. Now at Menards. Good through October 15th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Did you know that if your tires are under or overinflated, your gas mileage and tire life can be grossly affected? That can cost you money. Don't waste your money. Make sure your air pressure is correct. Contact us at Carroll Works Tire or visit us online today. Did you know that Carroll Works services fleet vehicles? We specialize in mixed fleets. If you have a fleet of vehicles or equipment, we tailor service programs to meet your specific needs and keep your business moving. Give us a call or visit us online today.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides 24/7 compassionate support and connection to trained counselors. When you call, text, or chat 988, you'll be quickly connected to trained counselors who will listen to your concerns, provide support, and connect you to additional resources if needed. There is hope. The Lifeline works. You are not alone. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. With kids back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Make Exergen thermometer the chosen thermometer for your home or business to check for fever, where accuracy matters. When measuring temperature at home and at work, use an Exergen thermometer to keep your family and colleagues safe. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Tiffany absolutely hated her job.
I was living paycheck to paycheck on a dead-end job that I did not like.
She'd been considering a change with My Computer Career.
I was able to qualify for financial aid.
Just 2 nights a week in a classroom and studying from anywhere online opened up a whole new world to her.
I get job offers all the time. IT is practically recession-proof.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I highly recommend My Computer Career.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. With kids back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Make Exergen thermometer the chosen thermometer for your home or business to check for fever, where accuracy matters. When measuring temperature at home and at work, use an Exergen thermometer to keep your family and colleagues safe. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
Did you know your tires have an expiration date? Regardless of tread wear, at Carroll Works, we inspect your tires for signs of age that can lead to failure. Do you know when your tires were born? Contact us at Carroll Works Tire or visit us online today. Did you know the amount of tread on your tires is directly correlated to how long it takes for your vehicle to stop, especially in adverse weather conditions like rain and snow? Make sure your tires aren't making you accident prone. Contact us at Carroll Works Tire.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We'll get into some NFL stuff here in a few moments. Sorry, I was cramming food during the break.
Remind me of somebody.
Remind me of my brother. Couple of quick things here. We're going to spend more time. And by the way, Kinner and Kev show weekdays from 3 to 6. We got our YouTube channel back.
I saw that. I saw you text me.
Yes. Jonathan Higgins, shout out to him. Did you know, which we should as a radio station, but we do have like a actual department that handles these the copyright situations.
Oh, I'm glad
we
you're
are
telling me.
So found out that if we are using music beds that are triggering the copyright stuff, because Alpha Media, our company, and most companies have the copyright, like they have rights to music across the, all radio stations.
Yeah.
So they're constantly having to fight YouTube to get us back up. They said YouTube is very good at getting you back up if you hit a copyright infringement thing. Facebook, they have no control over that. But Facebook's left us alone for whatever reason. So,
all right, good to know because I got some stuff.
But we're back. Yeah, but we're back up.
I've been looking for like 2 months.
Which was the Shaw one?
That too. No, the NFL draft from when Fields got drafted to the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everything's back up there, by the way.
Sweet.
So I say all this because our ESPN, we had a lot of people, and look, we're not like the biggest radio station. It's not like our numbers are massive on here, but people go to our socials to follow the content and stuff. And so, but yes, for those who are asking, yes, our YouTube channel is back up and rolling. Ron Howard sent this in. He says, who are your top 5 teams heading into week 5? Before I answer that, Ron, clarify. You talking NFL, you talking college? Because he usually talks more NFL than anything. Urban Meyer, we're going to spend more time on this throughout the week. We don't have to go in depth on this. But Urban Meyer's name is always going to be linked to jobs when they open up. But not even big, high-profile jobs. I think sometimes you're going to get those mid-profile jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of Urban. I don't like Urban going to a big-profile job. I kind of like to see, I wonder if his ego, too, it's like, Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
You go win at Michigan State after what you did at, obviously, Florida, at Ohio State, and then you're already viewed as one of the best college football coaches in the history of college football, but you go to Michigan State and you do there what you did at Florida, what you did at Ohio State, you're not better than Nick, but you're solidifying yourself for sure, and you're fixing that reputation. I've said before, why would he want to come back and coach? All he does is just get beat up in the media and everything, because the lasting memory of Urban Meyer is Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And the lasting memory of him in college was how things unfortunately went down at Ohio State. Now, everything's chaotic when he leaves. I get that. But I do believe he feels done too much in this game to just be done. And every time people bring up his name, that's all they think about is how things ended in Jacksonville. I think he is going to coach again for that very reason. He wants to go out on top. And sometimes it could be like a Mac Brown thing. I'm not comparing the two, where it's not about going out with a national championship, but coming back showing you could still coach in today's environment and go out a winner, blah, blah, blah. I think Urban's going to coach again. I don't think it's at Michigan State, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did go that route. And I think he could. I think he's going to win wherever he goes because it's Urban Meyer, and I think that style works, even though it doesn't work sustainability-wise as far as the people he works around, but it works winning in college athletics.
Right.
I think he coaches again. I don't think he coaches at Michigan State, but were you surprised when that started taking off?
Not surprised that it started taking off. Any team out there that fires their head coach mid-season, and then when coaches start getting fired in November and everything like that, the Urban Meyer name is going to be out there. Just like every time a coach, in previous years, Bob Stoops' names was out there. So, whenever there's a legendary coach out there on the market who's, whatever, flirting with still coming back, or they think can still come back and coach, like their name is going to be floated out there all the time. I mean, I don't know how many times that Bob Stoops' names was out there before he was like, look, I am not coaching full time ever again. Like, the whole XFL thing he was doing, like that's a part-time job for him because he loved the game of football and everything like that. He works for University of Oklahoma and all that type of stuff. But Herb is a different beast. Like, you don't connect Urban Meyer with one university or one program. You connect Bob Stoops with Oklahoma football. Like, that's what his connection is. There's obviously us in Ohio, we have a connection with him. There's folks up there in Bowling Green, Ohio, that have a connection with him, Utah and Florida. So like, he isn't beholden to like one place. So like, he's gonna be a free agent, and wherever he's gonna be connected to, I believe that is just. But as far as Michigan State, man, look, man, I have views on this, like from the Larry Nassar situation with Michigan State to everything that's going on with Coach Tucker. You know what I'm saying? You can read behind the lines if it's real or fake or made up with Coach Tucker. The fact of the matter is there's stuff out there about Coach Tucker, and he was fired for those reasons. If you being Michigan State go out there and say, hey, we're hiring Urban Meyer, that's saying a lot about how you feel about women. And that is a situation that if I'm in charge, I would not want to touch at all. And I understand like money rules the world and money being heavily involved in football and yada, 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 and people want to win. Like where does the line stop? And we could talk about like, oh, well, Urban Meyer never did those type of heinous things, but his name is still connected to certain things involving women. And be it Larry Nassar was convicted of doing cringeworthy things, I don't think that you at Michigan State should touch that. There's a lot of coaches out there, and let's be real, man. We just saw Lincoln Riley leave a storied program to go to another storied program. You can go hire another coach that's a high-level coach if you want them from another program, if your wallet is deep enough.
And trust me, this is the PR disaster that Michigan State has found themselves in, but because of their recent history with stuff too. So it's going to compound it. But all the concerns you mentioned about Urban, they're going to exist for any program out there that signs them. So it's just kind of one of those. And Shaw, thank you for that. The coaches poll came out. Interesting. We'll get to that in a moment. That concern is going to exist for any program that's out there that takes on Urban Meyer. But I will say, is the perception of Urban Meyer worse than what it actually is in today's day and age? And here's why. If he was like between the NFL, between media companies, between college athletics in general, if you have that type of bad stink to you, they're keeping you away at an arm's length. You know, we're talking about him like he's Bryles, like Baylor's old coach. I'm an Urban guy more than most, but I don't think that's fair to put him in that category as far as being untouchable is concerned.
No, I'm saying from Michigan State's perspective because of what they're dealing with. Fair. So like if another school says that, then like, all right, man, do what you do. But like just judging off of what you guys have done, I mean, think about it like this, like just rewinding. If when Joe Paul and that type of situation went on, like they had to go find the most buttoned up guy available because of what had happened. So in my perspective, like, hey, PR wise, you have to find someone at Michigan State that, hey man, doesn't have any, you got to do triple background checks to make sure this person is squeaky clean. There's nothing out there, no skeletons in the closet. I'm just simply talking about Urban Meyer from the Michigan State perspective. So like if we're talking like Herb at, I don't know, name your university, whatever, Miami, whatever, just name a school. Like, all right, fine, let's play ball. It is what it is, because he does currently work for Fox Sports. So like it isn't like he's unemployable or anything like that.
That was my point.
Yeah,
like
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like from Michigan State standpoint, like, hey man, we probably should be delicate. And then you look at their NIL collective, they halted payments to players because of the Coach Tucker situation, because the school is trying to fire him with cause, meaning cause they don't have to pay him. But if just found out they do have to pay him that rest of that $95 million, where do you think that money's coming from? It's coming from the collective. It's coming from the boosters and everything like that. So like the players on the team haven't been paid in like 2 weeks and everything like that for the NIL collective. So if they're going to have to pay Coach Tucker, then you got to pay a new head coach and their staff. Like this is just a snowball type of situation.
Well, where this is stemmed from too is the fact that those same boosters and collectives you talked about, there's reports coming out that they've already, we're going all in. So that's the thing. When we want to talk about the university making a decision, we want to talk about the athletic director making a decision. In today's day and age, the least powerful person on campus is the athletic director. The boosters have more power than the athletic director. I know this just based on my knowledge of stuff at Dayton, and I'm not throwing Dayton under the bus. They've done nothing wrong. I'm just saying a lot of Dayton's decision-making is based on, look, we're Dayton because of the money that we get from our alumnus and our boosters and everything else. So if we lose that, there's decisions that are made there based on what the boosters are willing to pipe money over for and what they will pull money if you do something that they don't like. That's not a Dayton thing. That's college athletics in general. So I understand everything you're saying, but like, yes, the president and the university is concerned about this, but the boosters are like, that's fine. You go find a buttoned up dude. But all of a sudden, I can't unbutton my wallet. All of a sudden, I don't think people button up wallets, but you see where I was going with that. I want to spend more time on this week. I think it's fascinating. By the way, Urban, I think he ends up at Florida. That's where I think he ends. If he coaches again, I think he goes back to Florida. It makes all the sense. Florida stinks right now, and I think he spent a lot of time on that campus during that Netflix documentary, and the whole reason that he went back to do that was try to fix his reputation with the perception coming out. Which, by the way, he didn't. I mean, that doesn't mean he was there to tell his side. He was just trying to skew his side, right? I think he cares about his reputation a ton, and if he can go back and coach and win and go out a winner, I think that matters a ton. It'll be interesting. We have 2 minutes. Cincinnati Bengals, Cardinals, must win, right? Bengals season over. If they lose, season over.
No, not over, but I still think it's a must win. I mean, you're going up against a team that is, for all intents and purposes, tanking the season to try to get Caleb Williams and everything like that. So, all the reports coming out about them moving on from Kyler Murray. So this is a must win for the Cincinnati Bengals. Absolutely.
Must win. And I think if they lose, I think they shut down Joe Burrow. Maybe not for the season, but I think they put him on if they lose, that means if they lose, that means he struggled. And if he struggled, it's because of that leg. And if you're 1-4 and I think that they have to really consider that. But if you win today at 4:00 and you're 2-3, that's salvageable. You can continue to limp a little bit further. Just try to limp into that bye week and let it reset.
Pun intended?
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be.
When is their bye week? Let me see.
It's in 3 weeks, I think. Halloween. I could
Oh
be wrong.
wow! So wait. Obviously not this week, not next week, so that's the 15th, so it's in 2 weeks. So they got this game versus Cardinals, and then they have the Seahawks at home, and then they have a bye week. Then they started back up.
Oh, so it's 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks to the bye week.
Browns are off this week. Steelers have the Ravens.
Oh boy.
How do you feel about that one?
Well, people talk about oh man, Lamar's not playing well. I don't know what y'all been watching. He's got a career high completion percentage. They're moving the ball left and right. I think they're going to continue to do that versus the Steelers today. The Ravens win 24-7.
Completion percentage is high, but he also doesn't throw as many attempts as the other elite level quarterbacks in the NFL. Look, I've been keeping an eye on. Actually, he kicked the Browns' ass last Sunday. Look, the thing about Lamar is
efficiency.
We're past the point now where we're critiquing the pass game because all they freaking do is win when he's out there. The next level to the Lamar criticism,
playoffs.
We can't criticize him during the regular season. You just can't. When he's out there, they win. I'm done. I don't care. Lamar, best quarterback in the AFC North. I'm not even going to argue with it right now. Regular season. The next level, as you talked, it's now we just got to hold him to that standard come playoff time because regular season, who cares? He's proven that he's different than every other quarterback in the league. He's not going to throw like everyone else, look like everyone else. He's not going to play like everyone else. But not a lot of teams are winning like they are either consistently. They constantly have injuries. We're talking about, the Bengals are banged up. Can they win through it? Oh, the Browns, their quarterback got hurt last week. They couldn't win through it. All the Ravens do is play hurt, and all they do is win. When he's hurt, though, they can't overcome it. So that's why I'm not overreacting to the Ravens. They were in first place at this point of the season the last 2 years. Look what happened. They missed the playoffs 2 years ago. They get knocked out in the wild card against the Bengals last season. So until Lamar has two things to prove, he could play at a high level in the postseason. That's next up on the to-do list. And also stay healthy heading into the final month of the season and be the quarterback heading into the postseason. So I'll overreact to the Ravens later on because that's the thing. I know when he plays how good they are. But he hasn't been readily available in the most important times of the season, the last two. But, yeah, they're about to, it's interesting, nonetheless, to see what's going to happen. The Browns have the Niners coming out of the bye week. Whew, I ain't going to be doing a lot of talking there. But, nonetheless.
It's the NFL, man. You never know, man. You never know what'll happen.
All right, folks, have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll do this tomorrow, the Kinner and Kev show.
I'm back!
3 to 6, the Keith Byers show from noon to 1. And Ohio State. Stop talking. You don't have a mic in front of you. We know more than you. Remember? Shaw, remember? No.
Shaw's back tomorrow. Oh, gosh.
Ohio State came in at number 3, by the way. They moved him up.
OH.
Oklahoma only moved up to number 7. That's the coaches poll. I don't really care about the coaches poll, but AP poll, I'm interested about that nonetheless. And then the Kinner poll that comes out tomorrow and the Kev Nash poll that comes out tomorrow. How about that?
I'm with it.
Yep.
I'm with it.
Yep. All right, folks, have a great rest of your night or day.
Birds, it's cold outside.
So next week, it's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Don't talk. The mic's still hot until I hit it off. Just saying.
Get the one and done you want for your dog's monthly protection. New NexGuard Plus, a Foxalon moxidectin and pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. All in one delicious